everyone, this is Mia with Project Nerd. I'm here with Ruben Pla, who is an actor and also happens to be the director and producer of today's film that we were talking about. It's a documentary called The Horror Crowd, and it is about Hollywood's horror community. And we're doing this for the Dickens Horror Film Festival. I'm sure I can speak today. I'll work on it. Probably.
You got it perfect. It sounded really good.
Thank you. So, how are you today? And why don't you tell me how you are?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, I was admiring the paintings on your wall back there, especially the butterfly. I really like that one.
They're
very nice.
Butterflies are my favorite.
Perfectly, so that was good.
Thank you. I have like a whole list. I guess I'm a mental list person. I have a top 5 for just about everything. So
I'm a Post-it guy. I got Post-its all over my computer and stuff.
Post-it. That's ironically enough, I have like a little notepad sheet like taped to my laptop.
But I keep Post-its like everywhere. I'm not.
Oh my goodness.
Just reminders. I'm a writer, so I like to write things down.
Do you have like a color collection?
Just yellow.
Just yellow?
No, I don't believe in color collections of Post-its. I think that's kind of too much. That's too out there. No, I'm kidding. I don't care.
I'm a color person. I'm over here like, maybe I should send him a gift of just a pack of Post-its that are just different colors.
No.
Yes.
But I like your color coordination on your black, white, and blue shirt that you're wearing.
Yes, it's the Project Nerd shirt. I even have a little nickname back there.
I just have the black, which is just nerd.
Just nerd. No project or jack, just nerd.
No pro or jack, just nerd.
But that's the basis of your film, yes? Everyone who nerds out about horror films?
Nerds, geeks, all those guys, yeah. Filmmakers of all types, shapes, sizes.
Good. Yeah. Tell me about how the process was for making a documentary and making this documentary.
I was traveling in the horror circles of Hollywood, acting and doing things like that. And then I started meeting a lot of horror actors, directors, writers, producers, press people. And I started thinking to myself, maybe I should talk to these guys and record it on my phone, something simple, no big deal, not a big documentary. Yeah. See what happens. So I met with my buddy, Hank Braxton, for lunch. He ended up being my co-producer. And he goes, I like the idea a lot. Why don't I just throw in some cameras? I go, that sounds good. He goes, and then I'll throw in some sound equipment and lights. I go, that sounds even better. He goes, and then we can shoot some of it in the studio I work at. I go, great. So it started building and expanding and exploding, blowing up. And then we approached his wife, Ariel Brockfeld, ended up being my producing partner. And, she jumped on board, and then that was it. Everybody just started coming in. Lynn Shea, Russell Mulcahy, Jeffrey Reddick, Adam Robitel, Mike Mendes, they all just, Charles Del Azarica, Adam Robitel. It was just one after the other started coming in and saying, I wanted to. They wanted to share their secrets and their passions and their loves and their lives with the audience, with you.
I think that's beautiful.
Oh.
What are the differences that you have experienced now that you have documentary? What's the difference in sets and in environments between a documentary, a horror film, and then just a regular film?
Sure, I know, I get it. Like getting a set, somewhere, a location. The big difference is most of these I go to their homes, and so they're comfortable. I go to their living rooms. I go to Lynn Shea's, yard, and we sit back there with her puppy on her lap. She's stroking the puppy while we're talking, and she feels comfortable. We're at Russell Mulcahy's home, and he's showing me all these paintings and talking about, Freddie Mercury and Queen and Highlander and Sean Connery. I'm like, kill me now, So that's the big difference going into their actual home. Some of them were shot in the studio. Like I said, some were shot in the park, some were shot at my home. So it was all over the place, but I had 37 subjects, 37 people in the film. So we had all different kinds of locations. That's the big difference.
Good.
Yeah.
Now that you've worn multiple hats within the film industry, which is your favorite hat to wear?
A nice warm fuzzy one for the winter. It's coming up. Seriously, I'm still an actor. I've been acting my whole life, and I still love doing that. And as soon as this darn COVID goes away, I'm going to be hitting, LA and New York, because I'm bi-coastal now. So I'll be hitting both coasts, going back into the acting, thing out there. But I have a bunch of scripts ready to go, narrative scripts ready to go to direct. If somebody said, hey, Ruben, I like the documentary. You got any scripts? I go, yeah, here's 10, let's go. Seriously, I'm not exaggerating. I got 10 scripts. I got horror. I got, adventure. I got fantasy. I got rom-com, because I don't care. To me, I don't, I'm one of those guys that's not like, oh, it has to be horror to be good. I like everything, adventure, fantasy, romantic comedy. If the script is tight, the script is good and leads you somewhere, excites you, I'm in, acting or directing.
What's one of your favorite scripts that you've ever read?
That I've ever, oh gosh.
Yeah, you know, I don't know if that's like a thing.
No, I can say it. You know, I'm going to say it. It's Insidious probably, because I mean, that thing was so good. I'm in that, I play the doctor in that. And it was just, and that's one of the films that opened up this whole horror crowd, you know, the doors for me. So I have a real affection for it. But even when I just read the script and I saw, oh, all the doctors pretty good, you know. So the mood of the script, and later when, you know, Joe Bishara brings in his music and score and the way James Wan directed it and acting with, you know, I'm acting with, like, you know, Rose Byrne and Patrick Wilson and Barbara Hershey. These are people that and then Lynn Shay. These are people that I admire greatly. I mean, you know, Patrick Wilson played Night Owl in Watchmen.
Yes.
And he played Ocean Master in Aquaman. So that's very exciting for me to have to, you know, like go head to head with this guy where they're bumping heads. It was great. So yeah, I'd say script wise, probably Insidious. Probably the one that I've read, that I've worked on. Yeah.
Okay. Well, since we're revolving around horror, of course, what do you think is the common denominator between those who create, write, and even watch films? Like, what is it that they're seeking when they're watching and creating these films?
Ask me again. What is the correlation there? What was it you asked?
The common denominator between watchers and creators. What is it that they're seeking?
Between watchers and creators, I missed the watchers part. I was still thinking Watchmen. What about Patrick Wilson? Night Owl? What? Watchers and creators. What the common factor is that it's in horror, that it's real and that it's scary, and that, you know, you go in and you jump into this new world, and you're not afraid because you know you're going to get home alive. You know, when you go to a horror movie, it may scare the heck out of you, but you know you're not going to die, hopefully, unless it's one of those immersive movies, you know, escape rooms where you don't escape or something. No, but seriously, that it scares you and it's realistic and it's not like hokey. You can have the best actors in the world doing it, but the dialogue is crappy or the storyline is terrible. It ain't going to work. It ain't going to rise, no matter how good the director or the actors are. So to me, I'm all about the script, as I mentioned before. It's got to be tight. It's got to be scary if it's horror. It's got to be, you know, it's got to move you if it's romance, romantic comedy, or whatever. You know, adventure. It's got to be thrilling. So that it needs to have those factors. So I think that's the common denominator there.
Is it the same for you when you're creating versus when you're watching?
When I'm writing or watching, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's why I like so many different genres. You know, horror, of course, but I love adventure. I love pirate movies. You know, right? I got a pirate script. I do. You know, romantic comedy, I do. I got a fantasy adventure about Olympus and all this. So, you know, for me, my tastes are very varied. It's like I have a lot of friends, and that's fine, that all they want to see is horror, all they want to write is horror, and that's fine. Or somebody else just wants to write, you know, sci-fi only, and I love sci-fi. But I want everything. I just want it all, you know.
Do you think there's a film out there that incorporates just about all of those things?
All the genres?
Yeah.
Well, I think the closest one, since you said that, would be Alien and Aliens. Because Alien people, that's just sci-fi. No, it's not. It's sci-fi horror. It's a haunted house in space. You know, the people going through the tunnels. You got Tom Skerritt going through the tunnels, doesn't know where that freaking xenomorph is going to pop up. And he didn't know. The actors didn't know about when John Hurt's chest explodes. Ridley Scott didn't tell him this is what's going to happen, and it's going to spray Veronica Cartwright right in the face with blood and guts and all that. These guys didn't know. And then when you go a little further with Aliens and James Cameron, that's a sci-fi adventure horror. Because now you got the Marines coming in, so it's not tight and claustrophobic. It's all over the place. They're coming in, and you know, G.I. Joe coming after the xenomorphs. So yeah, I think those two movies there's not a rom-com in them, but I think it has the other. I mean, a little sort of love between the Hicks and Ripley. It's sort of kind of starting, but not a rom-com.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So that's.
What do you think scares people who watch scary movies?
That it's not a world they're used to, a world they live in, that it's a whole new thing. You go in there, and whether you know what it's about, if you've been watching, you know, Saw is about this, or Insidious is about this, or, you know, Big Ass Spider, another film I did with Mike Mendes, is about this. If you go in knowing sort of what's about, okay. But if you go in like I like to do, cold, I don't even want to see trailers. I want to hear it's a good movie. Okay, I'll go see it.
I'm becoming that
Right?
way myself. Like
Right?
now you announce to me who the actors are, who's producing, who wrote it. That's
Yeah.
enough for me. I can go into the film.
Absolutely. Especially with the trailers nowadays. Let me show you the whole arc of the movie and the ending.
Yes.
Stop.
I don't
So
want that.
not all of them do that, but a lot do. So I'm like, I don't even want to see trailers. That's why when my trailer of the horror crowd, I don't give away the ending. You know, everybody dies. No, they don't. I'm kidding.
It would have been like, wow, that would have been okay. That makes sense. I just would have been like, that makes sense to me. If you're gonna do a
It would have
documentary,
made news if all
do that.
30. It would have made news, I think, headlines if all 37 of my actors and directors and producers in the documentary passed away because it did my movie. Like the curses of like Poltergeist and Exorcist have these curses where people die and the crew and all this. I was watching this thing about this yesterday. Imagine if they all about, but they won't, and they didn't. So nobody's
I'm like,
nobody's,
they won't.
nobody's dying, and everybody's good, everybody's healthy, and we're all good. Oddly enough, speaking of death, why don't we? I'm not familiar with anybody who's like passed away or gotten sick with COVID. Luckily, knock on wood. Do you know anybody who's knock on your butterfly frame up there? Yeah, one of those.
There, my door frame.
Yeah, sure, that's good. I don't know anybody. Thank goodness. Do you? I mean,
I've not anyone that is in my family circle, but
okay.
in my friends and outer friend circle, yes.
Oh, really? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, I'm like, am I the only one who doesn't know anybody who's gotten sick or died? God forbid. But obviously, I know it's happening. But yeah. Okay, on to the others.
That's okay. That's okay. So, how many horror films have you been a part of?
Oh, good. Well, I've acted it in a bunch, especially after I started doing Insidious. I had to just open doors right and left filmmakers who saw me and I go, hey, come over here. You know, so I work with them. Directing just the horror crowd. It's my first feature film directing. I directed a couple of horror shorts that I did before that.
What are those? I'm going to write them down.
One is called The Kill, and one is called Head, H-E-A-D. And that has double meaning. I mean, I guess you're wondering, it's a double entendre on that last one.
Perfect.
That's all I'll say.
Okay. What are your favorite films that you have acted in? Ones
that I've acted in.
Have memories for you.
I think the most fun I probably had would be Big Ass Spider, Mike Mendez film. Got to act with Lombardo Boyar, who's a very funny guy. He's have you seen Big Ass Spider? I don't know if you're familiar
I am not a scary movie person.
Oh, you're not? What the hell are you doing talking to me? No,
I am trying to open the doors to enter the horror film stratosphere.
That's very good of you, actually. Very open-minded of you. Biggest Spider is the horror comedy of which Mike Mendez, that's his specialty. He does horror, but he does comedy. Like he did Don't Kill It with Dolph Lundgren, and it's bloody and scary, but it's hilarious. So he did Big Ass Spider, and I acted in that, and that's like my third project with Mike, I think it is. And then Lombardo Boyar and Greg Grunberg and Claire Kramer in it, and Lynn Shay has one scene in it. And that was just a lot of fun, and we went to South by Southwest with it. So that was a blast. We all went there and we're hanging out and having beverages and having fun. So that was fun. So that one, as far as
is a big deal. I live about an hour north of Austin, so
yeah,
I get to be around it.
I might have like passed you that year. Have you been to South by Southwest or no?
I try to avoid it because it's a very busy part of Austin's year.
Oh,
So
okay.
we just go. Everyone who's actually living in Texas just takes all the outer roads.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Going through.
So then I haven't passed you in the street. That's okay.
No, that would have been cool though.
I'll see you someday. Someday I'll see you. Must think this all blows over all this garbage, and I'll swing by. See you guys down there.
That would be really cool.
Hey, were you there at the festival for Dickens? Were you there?
I was not.
Oh, okay, no problem.
Yeah, I wanted to be, but no.
No, it's okay. I'm just wondering because I know they had a limited seating thing because of the whole, COVID. So I don't know. You snuck your way in there. Did you see any of the film, that screened on, online, any of the shorts or features or anything, or?
Not. I have not. I know there are people on our team who are horror fanatics for sure. Someone I work with, Joey, it's in love with all things horror, so I know he has watched them for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. That's cool. I know you're busy. You're doing stuff.
If you could,
so what else?
take a beginner, intermediate, and expert course in films, what are the films you'd put in the beginner, in the intermediate, and in the expert, in terms of watching for a beginner like myself?
Oh, I see. So in terms of someone coming into the horror world, what I would recommend they watch.
Mhm.
I mean, I can recommend a bunch of movies, but you're really pinning it down to beginning, middle and pro. That's a tough. I had to think about it for a moment. I think I'm going to go backwards. I'm going to start with pro.
Sure.
I think the professional. I would have to throw in movies like Exorcist for pure just devil horror. I don't want to pick just one. Exorcist. I would throw in Alien or Alien/Aliens. I got to put those two together. Those, I would throw in Jaws. Jaws is a horror movie. It's an adventure at sea, like a pirate movie, but not pirates. It's fishermen.
Sharks are my phobia, my actual phobia, my doesn't make any sense phobia.
Sharks, that's a doesn't make any sense. I think that makes perfect sense. I'm terrified of sharks. Let me share with you real quickly.
Oh,
I used to be a big water skier, high school and college. I would go all the time. And I saw Jaws and I got terrified of going water skiing. It sounds kind of silly, but I would keep thinking when you're flying, doesn't matter, nothing can get you there. Well, sort of, depends on Jaws too, they kind of do. But when you're waiting to go and the boat is still and the skis are between you, and you look between your legs down to I kept thinking the freaking shark. Yeah, I know, sorry to scare you. I kept thinking the freaking Jaws was coming up at me, Bruce the shark. I know, right? It didn't, I'm fine. My legs are here. I'm good. But that scared me. So sorry.
Well, it's okay.
Segue. Movies can scare you and affect you. I know people who are afraid to go into a pool because of Jaws. I mean, it's silly. That's silly. That's a silly one. I mean, a barracuda could be in there, but not a shark. But, or piranhas. Somebody can just dump some piranhas in there. Eee. Okay, so pro, I put Exorcist, Alien/Aliens, Jaws. I would put it in there. Those are the top-notch things in horror kind of world. Let me jump to the other side now. Sorry, the amateur. Mm-hmm. I see a lot of movies that are like, okay, you have to go to like Birdemic. Do you know Birdemic? Birdemic. It's like a spoof of the Birds off of Hitchcock, but it's like really bad, but so bad that it's good.
Okay.
Kind of like The Room. The Room.
Yes.
The Room. It's like The Room, different filmmakers, but about the birds, like Hitchcock. It's so stupid, but it's hilarious to watch. So I would put that at the opposite end of the poor, the amateur, as you say.
Okay.
And in the middle, I don't know. Let's put the horror crowd in there, baby. What do you say? That's pretty good. Put the horror crowd right in the middle, edging towards the pro. I'd say. How's that sound?
Yes. Done.
That's my answer to you.
This has been amazing. I'm so happy I got that. You are the start of my day. I get to laugh. Do you have any anecdotes from when you were making the horror crowd?
Yeah, sure. I got a lot of revelations, doing the horror crowd and talking to these people, like talking to Mike Mendez again. Tells me the first movie he ever saw was the Hills Have Eyes at age 3.
No.
Yeah, I know. I react. See the movie, I go, my mouth drops. He goes, and that's not like an acting, and I edit it, cut it in. That was like exactly what I was doing. We had, camera too. I couldn't believe at age 3, his parents took him to see The Hills Have Eyes. It was a very bloody movie. And then the other side is kind of like Lynn Shay talking to her, and she's telling me about, when I ask her about what's your dark side, because I have segments, the dark side, women in horror films, race relations, your first horror movie. I've got all these segments, and they go into each other. I don't just throw it up in the air. They really lead into each other. And she told me that her dark side, you could see in her eyes that she'd never been asked that question in the hundreds of interviews that she's done over the years. She goes, like that, she froze for a second. That's a really good question. You could tell she'd never been asked that. And I'm not saying that just to show off. I'm saying I wanted to ask those kind of questions, like, tell me about your dark side. Tell me about your pet and your parents. Were they supportive? Tell me about your parents. That's a great segment with the parents who were supportive and the parents that weren't supportive. That's really a good segment too in the movie. And then she tells me, oh, I can be kind of like not so nice sometimes, which was a revelation to me. You? Really? I can be kind of jealous sometimes. So I just love that kind of stuff, getting those kind of things out of people without dragging it out. I just say, tell me about this. And then, I don't go, oh, no, tell me something other, So that's the moments that I like from the movie, I think.
Authenticity and an organic interaction, not one where it felt like you were taking serums out of their body to collect for your film.
Sure.
It seemed like it was a very natural experience for them and for you.
Well, they were very comfortable with me, Mia, because they all know me. I'd worked with a majority of them. I knew them all, except for one or two I just met in person the first time, but I knew them through social media and other mutual friends. But I either worked with all of them or knew them all from parties and, restaurants and whatever. So they were very comfortable with me. You can see when you see the movie, I'm like with my arm around Lombardo, we're high-fiving each other, hugging Oren Peli, whatever it is. You can see that there's a connection and a comfort level that they feel, yeah, I can tell Ruben this. I can say this. And that's what I wanted, not to trick them, not to coerce them, just kind of say, hey, I'm not going to make you look bad. And nobody looks bad. I don't make anybody look bad. I won't do that. Didn't do that. Because I edited the film too, and I love putting it together because I believe editing is like sculpting. Take a little bit of clay here. Yeah, a little bit of clay here. And put that, that leads into this. And we're talking about costumes and makeup. That leads into Halloween. And then, things lead into each other. So that's kind of the way I did it.
Now I have a question about costumes and makeup.
Hit me, girl. Before you do, hang on. Let me have some vodka. Hang on.
Oh, do your. I'll drink my vodka.
I'm kidding. It's water. You keep your vodka in the sippy cup. I like that. I'm going to start doing that. It's a big sippy cup. No, that's water. Okay, go ahead. So what was your question?
Yeah. So a part of horror films that I have noticed is different types of SFX makeup and masks or outfits and full on like animatronic type of things. Have you ever had to wear any in your films, and what was that like?
Oh yeah, not animatronic, but makeup. Bloody makeup. Oh my goodness, I worked on CSI Miami, a TV show, and I had a big slash across my face and blood everywhere. And ashes on my head and stuff. And werewolf makeup. I played a werewolf. I had makeup. A vampire. I've done a vampire, so I had the fangs and the whole thing. Zombies galore. I've done the zombies multiple times, and done that whole thing with the makeup. So yes, the answer would be yes.
What's the most intense?
Say again?
What's the most intense makeup that you've had to wear? Is it zombie makeup?
Probably zombie, because it was really, all out. Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's my final of two. I have two last questions.
No.
Second to last one.
No, not yet.
I'm sorry.
I'm having too much fun with you. Go ahead.
If you didn't have a budget at all, and you could just make whatever film you wanted to make, what would be that film?
So no budget limit, you mean, right?
Yes,
I didn't have a budget. I'm staying at home with my home camera doing this, my kitchen. I have no budget. Come on, pots and pans, act for me.
Yeah, no budget limit.
No budget limit. It's okay. No budget limit. What would I do? I got to tell you, I'll probably go with that vampire film that I wrote. It's a vampires. It's vampire pirates at sea, which I haven't seen yet anywhere. So I'd have to go with that. And there's a big twist, but of course, I'm not saying what it is. But I go with that because you do a pirate film, it's going to be expensive. The ships and the thing and the location and whatever.
Absolutely.
You're gonna have swords and fights, and so that would be the one, I would say. It's called Vampirates because it's vampire pirates. Yeah, baby. I don't mess around. You come to my movies, you know what it's about. None of these hidden meaning titles.
That reminds me, I have so one of my other jobs outside of doing these lovely things is I model, and sometimes I create an idea for me to model. And so for Halloween, I wanted, it won't happen till November, which is fine. But for Halloween, I wanted Spaniard vampires and I called them vampires. So
I missed the beginning. The what kind of vampires?
Spaniard vampires.
Oh, Spaniard vampires.
Yes, like
Oh,
I wanted to say Spanish, but I was like, no, I wanted to. It's from Spain, Spaniard.
Spaniard. Yeah.
Yes.
Hispaniola.
Yes. Call them.
I like it.
Thank
I like it. Are you writing something about it or just doing a costume thing?
Mostly doing a costume thing. My sister's a pretty big fan of mine. She's like, I need you to make this a story. Like, you can't just tell me this idea. I want background, and I want the shoot to be like a visual storybook. I want detail shots. And I'm like, aye, Captain. Yes, ma'am. I'll hop to it.
Yeah, I like that you say captain because it's a pirate thing, so that's good.
Yes, it is a pirate thing. I thought it was appropriate. Thank you. So
that sounds great.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let's talk some more about that.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's talk more pirates and horror. No, go ahead. Tell me your last question. Go ahead.
Where can we find you and your film?
Oh, on social media.
Yeah.
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Ruben Pla, RUBENPLA. At Ruben Pla, and then the Horror Crowd is also on all three platforms at the Horror Crowd. So yeah.
Perfect.
I think actually one of them I'm in Ruben J Pla. So look under Ruben J RUBENJ PLA.
Okay.
I confuse which is which, but you'll find it.
You're gonna get all the follows from me today. So
Good girl. I like that. Want to follow you too.
Yay!
Forever and ever and ever. Play with us, Danny. That's from The Shining. I don't know if you.
The Shining. Oh, I'm
Shining.
gonna put that on my list too, because that's been everywhere.
Yeah, that's a big one. It didn't come to mind before, but that's a good one.
Okay.
Stanley Kubrick, because he's a master filmmaker. So that would go in the pro section, probably.
Yeah.
He's like
I put it up in expert because I have heard so many people being terrified. So
well, besides him and Jack Nicholson and Shelley Duvall, I mean, they're all Scatman Crothers is great. The kid is great, Danny Lloyd. The film is just expertly made because he's an expert filmmaker. He'll do War, Full Metal Jacket. He'll do Clockwork Orange, dystopian future in England. I mean, he just does everything. So that's 2001: A Space Odyssey, science fiction, of course.
Yeah.
Although there's almost like science, not science fiction. So that's the kind of thing I like. I want to have all genres. I don't want to like limit myself to only action, or only horror, only this.
Yeah.
So put him in there in the pro.
Thank you so much for your time and your interview today, Ruben. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it was totally my pleasure.
Oh, let me do the exit.
Okay.
Once again, this is Mia with Project Nerd doing an interview for the Dickens Horror Film Festival. Here again with Ruben Pla, the director and producer of the documentary The Horror Crowd. Thanks.
And thank you, Dickens, for having my film in there. I appreciate it. Bye.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mia.